This is Dan Knepple here with Science News. These inventions and scientific thoughts will blow the mind. First, we have an innovative invention that helps the disabled. It's called the iBot. Dean Kamen and the others at DEKA created this amazing contraption that has a pivoting pair of wheels. The wheelchair is able to balance while traveling upstairs, and not to mention the wheelchair's basic ability to travel on poor terrain such as sand and gravel. One day, Dean came and saw a young man in a wheelchair struggling to get over a curb. He thought about it and realized that the problem wasn't ineffective wheelchairs. It was that the world was built for people who could balance. So he and his team worked with Johnson & Johnson to create what is now called the Independence iBot mobility system, a self-balancing mobility device that enables users to climb stairs, negotiate sand, rocks, and curbs. Dean L. Kamen is an American inventor from New Hampshire. He is also known as the previous two-wheeled Segway inventor. DEKA Research and Development Corporation was founded in 1982 by Dean Kamen himself. The corporation consists of nearly 200 engineers, technicians, and support staff. The name DEKA itself is derived from Dean Kamen's name. The tasks that this chair can accomplish are amazing. By the way, he also invented a home dialysis machine, insulin pump, intravascular stent, surgical irrigation pump, and if that wasn't enough, he recently introduced a device the size of a washing machine that uses a Stirling engine to generate electricity while purifying river, ocean, or even polluted water into clean drinking water. Like most of its innovations, the iBot reflected Dean's belief that science and engineering can be harnessed to improve people's daily lives. Many must be thinking in their heads, how does it balance on two wheels? The answer is simple. It elevates you in a sitting position by rotating its four-wheel base until the chair perks on two wheels. The iBot has internal sensors to keep the machine balanced while you move the lever in the direction that you want it. The iBot sensors continuously and automatically adjust the gyro balance system to your center of gravity. It has internal computers that process 10,000 signals per second. These signals help the positioning, the stabilization, and it constantly readjusts the 289-pound chair and its driver. The iBot contains patented dynamic stabilization technology, otherwise known as iBalance. It's an integrated combination of sensor and software components and multiple computers that work in conjunction with gyroscopes. Gyroscopes are motion sensors that help maintain balance. When the gyroscope senses movement, a signal is sent to the computers. The computers process the information and tell the motors how to move the wheels to maintain stability. This electronic balance system is custom programmed to the user's center of gravity to monitor and respond to subtle changes in motion.
If you were disabled, would you want an old-fashioned wheelchair like this? And it all is manual power? How about this one? Yeah, it's electric, and it's shiny. But if it was me, I would definitely prefer to have the iBot over any other wheelchair that's out there. Many people in this world are worried of a natural disaster occurring, or some other phenomenon that will wipe out the human race off the planet. Others say that there is going to be an ice age or global warming happening. Who knows the answer? Many people today are trying to predict the results using data from the past to make a prediction.
This chart shows how the currents of the oceans flow. On this map it shows where the hot water rises and cools. The water cools at the Arctic Ocean and warms up at the Indian and North Pacific Oceans. Ice Age researchers said that in the next 20 years the tides would change. This will cause a global catastrophe in which could result in colder waters. The scientific term for this is called a glacial period, otherwise known as an ice age. This, many say, causing another ice age is highly unlikely, though some ecologists that specialize in glacial studies think that what would most likely happen if the tides change is that the warm waters will not cool because of the already melting ice caps.
Over the past many years, many ridiculous statements have been released like the end of the world, and many natural disasters to go with it. The possibilities of these events ever occurring are not likely, but it could take thousands of years from now, for all we know, before it actually occurs. According to the National Snow and Ice Data Center, there are 2 ice sheets in the world that cover Antarctica and the majority of Greenland. These 2 ice sheets contain 99% of the freshwater ice on our planet. The Antarctic ice sheet measures approximately 5.4 million square miles, and the Greenland ice sheet measures 650,000 square miles. On average, though, they are melting faster. For a while, change will come slowly, but later this century it will speed up. The consequences of this melting include the release of methane, which is a warming gas, trapped in the tundra, and a slowing of the Atlantic conveyor, which would cool Europe and warm tropical waters. The Atlantic conveyor, as shown in this picture, is the area near Greenland in which the water cools. While politicians have worried long and hard about global warming, which might raise the Earth's temperature 1.4 to 5.8 degrees Celsius by a century's end, a growing body of evidence suggests natural forces could just as easily plunge Earth's average temperatures downward. In the past, the planet's climate has changed 10 degrees in as little as 10 years. The possibility of an ice age and global warming are 2 theories that aren't too far away from each other. When people think global warming, they think CO2. They think that if we can get everyone to stop spraying aerosol cans, that we can save the environment. The true cause of global warming is the lack of organisms that get rid of this CO2. In my eyes, after looking over all this data, I can conclude that the ice caps are melting, but it is not to the extremes that people are taking it.
Judgment Day, as many said, was going to be the end of mankind. At the time before Judgment Day, the people were saying, information is coming forth from the Bible which clearly reveals God's plan for Judgment Day and the end of the world itself. And this information was never previously known because God had closed up His Word, blocking any attempt to gain any knowledge of the end of the world. It turns out that this was another hoax, and we are still currently here today. As you all know, next year is 2012. Another threat to the human race. I bet you've seen the posters. Aerial views of major cities crushed by a variety of natural disasters. Giant waves rushing over the highest peaks of the Himalayas. And the headline, "We are warned," underneath a big, enormous number 2012. Many people think that because ancient humans' calendars have stopped, that the world is going to end on that date, when this could be the people are too lazy to actually complete the calendar, or some other related reason to that. This is not believed to be true, and to be honest, it sounds ridiculous to me. Many people are now saying that there will be no doomsday in 2012, and yet, the results show that it is going to. Will this be another washout like Judgment Day, or will it be the end of mankind forever? The latest summary of yet another revised edition of a report by the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Control has evoked all of the usual fears, predicting the deaths of millions by 2080 and other end-of-the-world scenarios. 2080 is a mere 69 years from now. In meteorologists' terms, it is a blink of an eye. It is also useful to keep in mind that the known cycle of time between ice ages is about 11,500 years. If you believe the fearmongers, in less than the lifetime of an average American, coastal cities will be underwater. If the ice age cycle holds true, however, at some point it is far more likely that they will be under a thick sheet of ice. Since we are at the end of the interglacial period, we are far closer to the next ice age than the last. Everything we call civilization has occurred since the last ice age. The rise of various empires began about 5,000 years ago, with Egypt being the most prominent. Real climatologists measures time far differently than the rest of us. While the IPCC, Al Gore, and the other fearmongers are warning the the horrors of global warming, it is useful to look at the timescales. The end of the last ice age was 11,500 years ago. New technology and invention lead to the invention of plants being able to text us. Smart sensors let plants send text messages to their growers for water. The leaf sensor attaches to the plant's leaf and uses algorithms to translate its moisture content. It hooks onto a plant leaf like a paperclip would attach to a paper. It also has a casing around it to protect the microsmart chip, which sends messages to the main board from rain and other weather conditions. The main board then can go and send short messages or even call the person who has it. With this invention, it could make it so farmers will not have to do any laboring work to water their crops anymore. For example, if they get sprinklers and when a section of plants texts for help, then the farmer can turn on the sprinklers to water the specific crops that need the water. This advancement in technology would help a lot in agriculture and food supplies around the world. A good amount of plants die each year because of the lack of proper care, and this could solve that issue. The concept of this would work with plants in the home, outdoors, or even at mass in a farm. This could possibly change the farming business altogether. There could be many benefits to the world from this invention. This could help stop our country from going hungry, because a huge percent of our crops die each year to the lack of care or knowledge. Since it is hard to tell when and when not a plant needs to be watered, they often overwater the plants. This invention could also take away unnecessary jobs like caring for a farm and help industrialize and lower the prices of everything that we work for in life. For example, putting food on the table every night. The downsides to this invention could be enormous, though. If a sensor fails to work, then the plant might not get the necessities it needs and could ruin the harvest. There is also the fact that this could take away jobs that people have been doing since they were young, leaving them jobless.